Hi AHJ, thank you so much for including me in your 26 of 26 selection. It's an honor to be recognized among such an inspiring group of artists and designers. My name is Sasha Court and I am a ceramic artist based in Halifax, Nova Scotia. My practice is rooted in intuition, emotion, and material exploration. I create hand-built ceramic vessels that sit somewhere between art and object. Pieces that are meant not only to be seen, but deeply felt, and they beg to be touched. My work typically begins with a feeling rather than a plan. I follow my instincts through the making process, allowing each piece to evolve and reveal itself to me. You can often see that in my surfaces. I like to leave fingerprints in the clay and soft asymmetries, so the forms always feel a bit off. I personally find symmetry quite boring, and I'm drawn to forms that feel alive and emotionally responsive, rather than perfectly controlled. I'm interested in the emotional presence objects can hold within a space, and how form, texture, and finish can create a sense of resonance or connection. I want my work to draw in your full presence and not be a passive aesthetic interest in a space. My vessels develop almost like landscapes. Their surfaces crack, crawl, stretch, and pool in unexpected ways during firing, creating textures that feel weathered, eroded, almost like buried treasure. I'm really drawn to that tension between control and surrender. Setting an intention for a piece, but then allowing the kiln and the materials to leave their own imprint in the work. There's a balance in my practice between restraint and freedom, between discipline and play. And that duality has become especially important to me lately. It's become the ultimate decision point while I'm working. I often stop and ask myself, am I moving in discipline or am I moving in joy? I want to make objects that exist with purpose. I'm always asking, why this? Why now? There are already more than enough objects in the world, so if I'm making something, I want its existence to feel inevitable and almost necessary and urgent. As I move into 2026, the central theme of exploring is joy, and specifically this tension between joy and discipline. I think many of us are taught to value productivity, control, and performance above all else. And I've been reflecting on what it means to intentionally make space for joy within both life and in my creative practice. Not as something indulgent or secondary, but as something truly essential. I never want my work to feel too considered or performative. I want it to speak my truth. And lately I've been allowing my truth to not always make much sense. I'm letting go of the need to be right and leaning more into simply being honest, whether I'm fully understood or not. That exploration is shaping the work I'm making this year, beginning with my newest collection, Joyride, which is currently being represented by Amélie de Chalard in Paris and New York. Joyride is really about movement toward joy, choosing it, protecting it, and allowing it to coexist with my ambition and discipline rather than opposing them. The forms in the collection feel more open, expressive, and emotionally charged to me. There's softness, rhythm, and a kind of poetic hope running through the work that feels very honest to where I am creatively right now. In works from Joyride, I've been exploring richer, more emotional color relationships, mossy greens, mineral tones, soft pinks, creams, deep cobalt blues, saturated reds, and areas where glossy glaze breaks against rough clay surfaces. I love when a vessel feels simultaneously delicate and ancient, almost as though it has emerged from the earth like a wild miracle rather than something that has been constructed. The rims of the pieces are intentionally irregular and expressive. They open outward like petals, torn fabric, giving the forms a sense of movement and expansion. Even though these are static objects, I want them to feel alive, like they're still in the process of becoming. There's also a physical softness to the silhouettes that feel important to me right now. Rounded bodies, swelling curves, subtle asymmetries, narrow waists, exaggerated openings, forms that feel generous rather than rigid. For me, that softness is connected to the larger theme of joy, allowing space for emotion, sensuality, vulnerability, release. I'm really leaning into my soft power this year. In my recent work, I've also been exploring contrast between rawness and refinement, pairing highly tactile glazes with glossy, light, reactive ones, or balancing heavier, grounded forms with delicate openings and movement. I want the work to feel sensual, human, strong-footed, but vulnerable. Some of the works in Joyride move more directly into ideas of tenderness and emotional memory. In these pieces, floral forms begin to emerge through glaze, not as literal illustrations, but almost like impressions or fragments surfacing through the material itself, creating surfaces that feel intuitive and alive, almost like flowers pushing their way through cracks in the pavement. There's a tension I love between delicacy and deterioration. I think that contrast mirrors a lot of human emotion, the coexistence of fragility, resilience, softness, and transformation. I love when the work feels simultaneously refined and unstable, beautiful but on the edge of transformation. The floral references in the work are less about decoration and more about impermanence, growth, and emotional openness. I want these vessels to feel as though they're holding memory or carrying traces of something fleeting and alive, like thoughts or dreams surfacing and disappearing beneath the glaze. In many ways, these pieces are about permission to feel deeply, to embrace sensuality and access, to move toward beauty without apology. That idea has become central to my thinking around joy, not as something passive, but as something bold, vulnerable, and fully embodied. Even though the works are sculptural objects, I think of them almost like emotional states made physical. Each vessel holds tension differently. Some feel grounded and contemplative, while others feel ecstatic, unruly, or expansive. Together, they form a kind of emotional landscape for the year ahead. Thank you again to AHJ for the invitation and for supporting artists and designers in such a meaningful way. I am very excited to be part of this year's 26 of 26.